Welcome to What We Watch, Becca O'Neill. If you don't know the name, you're about to learn today. Becca, welcome. Welcome to What We Watch. You are muted, honey.
That's crazy. I was talking this whole time, like, thank you for having me. Like, just going on. I'm here, y'all. Hello.
That's so funny. Welcome. Tell us a little bit why you choose Golden and Pager by the Cool Kids.
Oh, because I love that song. Like, we did have a little chat before this. I needed to pick a song, and I'm from Chicago. Coming up in Chicago, like I would say the few years right before I started doing stand-up, I was working in entertainment, doing something else completely, like party promoting for rappers and stuff. And I love this song. I love this group. And it just reminds me of the time right before I started doing what we're about to talk about. So that's why I picked it.
Party promoting for rappers. Ooh, yeah, you didn't tell me that.
With, short chat. And it's not even that relevant. It doesn't come up that much anymore, but yeah.
So welcome to What We Watch. Let's talk about who Becca is. So we've been following each other for a minute, Becca. You're a great time. You're always on stage. And we want to know how you got there. How did you become this gorgeous Black woman telling jokes on stage, right? And a lot of people would love to do what you do and have done what you've done and are inspired by the work that you share with us. So talk to me a little bit about your origin story, because there's no way you started off being a stand-up comedian, or did you?
Well, yeah. In entertainment, after the party promoting, I did that like in college as a little college dropout. I loved comedy the entire time, like since I was a kid. And sort of like right after that, I was like writing a lot about comedians and like writing for different pop culture websites. Like there was one that was called Splitsider, doesn't exist anymore. Gawker doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, a lot of these places I used to write for don't exist anymore. But this was like the 2011, 2012 blogger era. And I ended up interviewing a lot of comedians. And one day I just decided I was going to do stand up. Like I had interviewed so many comedians and I'm like, they would explain their process and like what they did in a way that made it seem very, not easy, definitely not easy, but accessible and like something that I could do. So I just did it in 2012 and that's how I started.
So what type of comedians were you interviewing? Because you said they made it seem easy, and then you're like, no, they didn't make it seem easy, but they made it seem accessible.
But I didn't think of comedy as a job you could do. Like that did not really occur to me until I don't know why. Like I grew up watching comedy. I grew up watching like Comic View, and my dad liked Comedy Central a lot. But it didn't. Something never clicked. Like you could just go get on stage and try that at any point.
And just get paid, right?
Right. Well, the pay does come a little later than after you first try. I'll be honest with you. The pay does not come the second you decide you want to follow your dream. Unfortunately, but
I can confirm.
Yes, I wish. Honestly, that's a whole different kind. We'll probably get to it actually. But I'm glad I did talk to comedians. That they didn't make it seem easy, but they did make it seem like, you know, some of the things I was interviewing them about at the times were like I'm trying to remember. This was like over 10 years ago. Let me think. One of the things I wrote this editorial for this site called Splitsider about depression in comedy and like how many stand-up comedians would like talk about that. And I interviewed some people that I was huge fans of at the time, like Aparna and Charlotte. And I honestly don't remember everybody I interviewed for this. But they were just talking about topics that I hear people talking about very openly and comprehensively. And I'm like, wow, that's great. I should try to do that. And I did like a few months later. And I'm still on stage talking about my brain, like literally 10 years later. So that's kind of what I mean about like they made doing something that I wanted to do seem like it was a possibility.
I love that. That's very, very, very powerful. So you're interviewing comedians. You got to tell me some of the comedians you were interviewing. And do you remember any of the things that they said? Because, like, again, you keep saying that they made me realize that it is accessible, that if I just get out there, put myself out there, I can do it. What were some of the things that they were saying, and who was saying it?
Well, man, these are great questions. So, again, this is like 10 years ago, but I do remember I lived in Chicago at the time. I was a big fan of Hannibal Buress. I had not met him. I was just, I loved his work. And I was also on Twitter at the time. This is like before Twitter was all everything, no space, none of that. This is like 2010s Twitter. And I was getting off my little jokes. Like I had never gotten on stage before, but I was getting off jokes.
Mm-hmm.
So I followed a lot of comedians just because of the work I did. And next thing I know, people who I respect and who like as a comedy nerd, because I really was in the trenches of comedy nerdery. Like,
ooh, what is a comedy nerd?
Oh
I'm
God,
fascinated. What is a comedy nerd?
Like if you're a nerd of anything, you just extrapolate what a comedy nerd is. It's all there were forums and websites, but that's a whole.
I love that. The whole world.
It's
Okay, cool.
Very cute and wholesome.
Oh, I love that. Okay, but go on.
A lot of comedians who I really liked were liking my jokes on Twitter, and that was like the last push I needed, honestly, where I'm like, all right. Oh no. I do remember what happened. Huffington Post put me on a list of funny women with Aparna and Sherla and like some other people that I loved, and I never set foot on stage or ever tried to be funny in any real way in my life. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do it because these people. I'm just sitting in my house, like I got to go on stage, and I ended up doing it like maybe a couple weeks after that came out.
So Huffington Post peeped you online and was like, "Hey."
Or something, and I'm like, this is when I didn't have any performance outlet either, so that meant a whole lot to me at the time. I was like, whoa, wow, like I'm famous. I'm gonna go on stage. It's gonna be great. Like it really, really, really hit me in my little heart at the time. So yeah, it was the push I needed.
That's so amazing. Okay, so you didn't start off with comedy, but you seem to have always had a love for it. And I love having comedians on the show because y'all are very, very adamant and very much like I am a comedian first. And I love that about you guys. Very rarely am I hearing like any other profession be like, I am a director. This is what I love. Like I support me and all my other directors. And yes, I do a lot of other stuff, but I'm a direct. You know what I mean? Like I'm a lawyer. I support every lawyer. I'm a lawyer. I've been in the trenches with a lawyer.
Say it for other jobs, like
right?
When because you say it for other jobs, like why would we like this? Like why?
Yes, but the comedian community is so like y'all are like yeah. I'm an actor and a writer too, but I am a comedian. Okay,
we identify as comedians first. First and foremost, we identify as comedians. Like I don't think we ourselves like. It's too hard to do comedy to not drag it with you for the rest of your life. Like you kind of have to, yeah. And also, I was saying this to you a little earlier, like a lot of the people who start off doing comedy because they just love telling jokes end up if they get famous, the reason you know them is usually not stand-up comedy, because stand-up comedy opens a lot of doors that I will tell you, people who want to get on stage to just be clowns do not foresee the day they decide to start comedy. I didn't get into comedy to act and stuff, but that's what we all end up doing. So yeah.
That's beautiful. So, and when you say stand-up comedy opens up a lot of doors, like I said, comedian first, and y'all are very, very, y'all make sure that y'all let people know that, and I love that. So, talk about what doors has stand-up comedy opened up for you, and like how do they approach you with it? You know, because you talked about your agent. We'll get that here in a minute. But what doors were opened?
Okay, so I'm gonna skip to that part. Like, after you've been doing stand-up for how many ever years? As last month is 10 years. How many ever years? The industry exists. And this is gonna sound very naive, but when I started doing stand-up comedy, I did not perceive that as a part of the entertainment industry. I was just like, I'm just going on stage to tell jokes. But at a certain point, if you're performing a lot, people from the entertainment industry will know that you exist. So that happened. It started happening like less in Chicago than when I moved here. But like even in Chicago, like there are people out looking for talent. Like that's their job. Like they have to find people. So I was just approached for some meetings very early in stand up that, when you're new doing something and you have a big opportunity, sometimes you're not ready for the opportunities that pop up. And I definitely wasn't for most of them. I'm like, I'm just here to tell jokes. Y'all trying to do what? Like, it's very much that energy for a couple years. But in New York, there's more of like an industry thing. Like I moved here a little more prepared for that sort of thing. And in pursuit of that sort of thing. So that's kind of happened. It's happened for me organically. I know a lot of people do sort of are a little more business savvy. I definitely was not. I came in for the love of the game. And then a lot of
love that.
So, and I love that. I just sort of now have an agent to sort of guide what opportunities I do and don't take, but it was just a lot coming at me fast just because I was funny on stage after a few years. So yeah.
That's nice. That's
Different
nice.
networks. I wasn't specific though. Like I was not specific at all. In Chicago, it was like a network called WCIU, extremely local television.
Mhm.
I had a TV show that was airing like around the Midwest. Like you can find online. You would not have seen it if you were not in a flyover state between 2015 and 2017.
Right.
So it was called Chicago's One Night Stand Up. You can look it up. In New York, though, pretty much as soon as I landed and started doing shows, I was taking general meetings with networks. I did not expect that. And not all of them came to fruition either. But some of them did, and it was a real blessing. So yeah, it was pretty organic for me.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And so, as you were moving into this industry, because again, it sounds like it was about 10 years ago, you've been doing stand
Hmm.
up comedy for how long now?
Yeah, 10 years, February
10,
2012. So
10 years.
yeah.
And now you got your own Comedy Central specials and stuff like that, right?
I've done some sets for them. Yeah, they've always gone. They're very nice. They've always gone great. I always love when a nice shiny set comes out. It's wonderful.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. A nice shiny. I guess now that I think about it, the set matters, like the ambiance, the atmosphere. Because I've attended comedy shows. I'm obsessed with going to comedy shows.
Hmm.
I'm always like, we can't date if you won't take me to a comedy show. Like
I love that.
I will do a comedy show any day of any week at any time. And I always feel like y'all depend on us, right? They're always like, okay, you got to be live, you got to be in there, we're going off the energy. But the atmosphere of the set matters too, right? Like you're on set, kind of.
Yeah, it does vary differently. Haven't done stand up in a almost any environment you can think of. A lot of places where you're like, there shouldn't be a comedy show here, all the way to big TV productions. The environment matters. Let me tell you what, it matters a lot.
What's something that you like about a night? Like, what makes you feel good about a comedy set? You're like, okay, I like it. I could do this here. And what's something that you don't like? Like, what's some red flags and what's some
Or
like,
like a venue or something, or like just
yeah,
or like
like,
me walking into. Oh, I'll just say like me walking into a show. This is gonna get dangerously close to like Shay, but not at anyone specifically. Just like
yeah, no,
vibe. Um,
it's
yeah,
a venue.
as
It's a
a
venue. Yeah,
performer. Yeah, as a performer walking into a show, there are red flags. It's just like it's live performance. Live performances, there are a lot of variables at any given time, especially one where people need to listen to what you're saying. So anything that would be like a barrier to people receiving the information is always going to be a flag. Like at this
hmm
point though, I don't worry too much about it. Like there's truth. I'm finding that 10-year mark where it's kind of like whatever, I'll go somewhere, I'll tell my jokes, it'll be fine. But all that being equal, without any of that experience and knowledge, there are red flags. Like one small one is if you're doing a show where there is a bar or a show that's in a bar. If there's no separation between the bar and the performance area, you're gonna be working hard as hell. You're gonna be working very hard all night long. Like there are no easy laughs if it's a loud
Uh,
bar room. Yeah,
oh, okay. See,
fun.
okay.
There's so many, but that's just one where I'm like, oh, here we go. So yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I love that. So, outside of comedy, because you're a comedian first, you've done some writing and you've done some acting. And you kind of said that comedy, stand up comedy, opens the doors for those things to happen. So,
Yeah.
what is some stuff that you've been in that you've enjoyed, and how did they come up to your set after you did a set, they come up to you like, hey, we got a TV series, we got a web series, you want to be in it? Is that how it goes, or
Literally.
right?
Sometimes when I talk about my career, I do feel a little woo woo. Like I feel a little bit like, guys, it happened organically, but I'm not lying though. And it's not that I don't pursue things or I'm not ambitious. I've been very, very ambitious about my stand up, which has unintentionally but welcomely, I guess, opened like acting doors. So when I moved here, a goal back when I lived in Chicago, I wanted to be on Comedy Central. I think every stand up comedian does. When I moved here, I did some show for NYU students. Actually, no, I remember where it happened. If you know Rachel Sennett, she was in Shiva Babies. It's like doing great right now. She's a stand-up comedian too. She had a show with her friend, and it was full of industry people. I just thought it was gonna be a bunch of college kids. I didn't even dress up. Like I was prepared for like just a good chill time, and I met like pretty much networks I still work with today from one of my first shows in Brooklyn, just because I was in the right room. So yeah, that
That's
type of thing.
beautiful.
Like it really is that type of thing. And I know people move here specifically to act. And I actually know a former roommate of mine. got into stand up because she wanted to act, and she saw that I was getting acting gigs I wasn't even looking for. So yeah.
I love that. And where, and because you said stand up in Brooklyn, where have you done stand up? How many stages have you graced? Are you global? Are you national, international? How, name some
Well,
cities.
okay, so I started in Chicago, and I stayed there. I'm from Chicago, so I started where I live. Performed there for pretty much like just there in a couple of cities outside of Chicago. There's like a few you can go to that are drivable whenever I had a show. But then like around, I would say like 2015, I started opening for like people I was a fan of, and I got to do the road in a really nice way. Like I've seen the road sort of like you and your friends put a couple dates together, you get out there, you thug it out, blah blah blah. But I was very blessed to be able to work with people with budgets and be opening for them on the road. So I got to see a lot of the country like that. Um, so national, I'm gonna say national because I've not performed comedy outside the United States yet. I really want to though. But now I do in Brooklyn. I don't travel as much here because like pretty much everybody I was opening for lives either here in LA or in LA. So yeah, I do like before the pandemic, I was doing like DC and Philly and stuff more. But yeah, I'm a Brooklyn girl, Brooklyn and New York right now.
And when was the last time you hit a stage?
Last night, yeah, I did a '70s themed comedy show. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was a great night. I was hungover till about 2 hours ago. Just off
I love
two
that.
drinks, two little drinks. It's crazy.
You heard it here, guys. She got sober just enough to speak to us 2 hours ago. This is
No.
great. This is fantastic. So, Comedy Central. What?
Mhm.
This is amazing, right? Because a lot of us, those of you in the room, how long have you been watching Comedy Central? There's a heart with the plus sign at the bottom. Over 5 years that you've been watching Comedy Central. We all know what Comedy Central is. Clap if you were watching Comedy Central as a teen in college, if you were learning about new comedians through Comedy Central. Heart with a plus sign at the bottom. Clap if you were there. What are there we go, some hearts, some claps, perfect. Exactly. So everyone's like knows Comedy Central. And Becca, how many times have you been on Comedy Central now?
I've got two sets out with them, both during the pandemic. The first time I worked with them was during the pandemic. It was actually three. I don't remember. I did their first
Yeah, all right, flex.
Zoom, their first ever Zoom comedy special. It was actually really fun, but it was like April 2020 where everybody was learning how to produce content in quarantine. So I was at the beginning of the learning curve, but it was my first time working with them on a special, and I was so excited. Then October 2020, we shot like a very intimate, I'll say, like very intimate stand up set because it was still high pandemic. You know, I don't even think the vaccine was out yet. Maybe it had just come out, so it was very low key, but it was a great experience working with them. And then um, this past September, I shot a set that just came out a few weeks ago. So I'm excited. Yeah, every time I work with them, it's super fun.
Are they your favorite to work with? You don't have to answer that. I'm
I'm gonna go ahead and say that they're great to work. I haven't listened. It's between there's only a few options at this point. So
right.
yeah, as my IMDb gets longer, we'll have more people to choose from. But I'm gonna say for right now, I love them, and they always hold me down. Like there's specific people at the company too who I really really like, and they've been. I'll say Ryan Moore, and he's been following my career since I was in Chicago. Like, yeah, he's always been supportive of my career, and whenever there's an opportunity he can plug me into, he hits me up. So nothing but love for Comedy Central.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking of your IMDb, and is this correct? What
I
is
don't
your
know.
IMDb? Is it Rebecca O'Neill?
Yeah.
Known for the comedy show? No.
That's got it. Yeah, that's probably it.
Girl, they have you as an actress on here first.
Well, they you know what? I have not. Have I done any? Well, God bless. I'm not gonna argue with IMDb. I was about to say credits as
I'm
far as they
teasing.
know.
I'm gonna
As
put actress and
far as they
I'm gonna make
heard.
sure
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure they put actress and comedian up in here.
I don't even
But
think they
so
put comedian on there, do they?
yeah. So I like that you were talking about Comedy Central. It's amazing. This is what we watch, follow what we watch film TV. This is what we watch, essentially Black History Month extension series, but it's Women's History Month. And you are a
Yeah.
Black woman doing comedy.
True.
And
True.
you are amongst, like, if you want to think of quote unquote big names in the industry, you guys, right? Clap, and Becca, you could name big names in the industry for Black women doing stand up comedy, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's it's a I don't want to say the term obstacle, but it's a challenge, right? Your trajectory is different. Your journey might look a little different,
For
and
sure.
we can't go on without. Can you tell us a little bit about what your journey looks like? And not to say that you're comparing yourself to others, but what does it look like being a Black woman in stand-up comedy, right? Because that's different than the men that join. That's different than the white people that join. Other non-Black people. How does that
Yeah.
look like, and what are some of the things that you've been experiencing, and how do you overcome that to still get your success? Because you killing the game. So
Well,
go ahead.
thank you. I will say that there's there's if you're in there to just perform, like stand up, I definitely call it like the people's art. If you want to do stand up, there's literally nobody who can stop you. Like if you can find an open microphone, you can go do it. So that's the one thing I will say. At the bottom level, there's no barriers to entry. No one can really gatekeep. You can just walk in off the street. So that's one benefit of to stand up that I kind of think kind of equalizes it across the entertainment industry. At least it's a easy, not easy, but it's a door you can literally walk through. So that part is interesting, and it gets a little different when things start to go well, like when there's people who can gatekeep, when there's something to gatekeep, when people are making decisions who maybe don't understand you, don't share your background, are not rooting for people who look like you, that sort of thing. Um, so yeah, I definitely know there are barriers like that. Comedy is a boys' club, first and foremost.
I feel like there's a story behind that clearing of the throw. But yeah,
Because I'm
yeah,
trying to
go ahead.
think of like what to even say, because it's more of like a whole way I experience my career versus an
Yeah.
individual experience. It's more like I'm in a completely different lane than my male or white peers, I feel like.
Oh,
Um,
and that's exactly what we're getting
yeah.
at. How does
Yeah,
how does
it's
it
hard
look?
to experience, honestly. So I think the boys club element at least when you're starting is it can be a hindrance. You definitely feel it, like the rooms that you would be in versus your white peers, or and comedy is also it's community run. So the people who are performing are also a lot of the people performing, producing the shows and booking the shows. So there's definitely some of that. Like people book their friends, and if you're a white person with all white friends, you're gonna have an all white stand up comedy show. And I don't think there's
Mm.
inspection there to see how doing that sort of thing over and over becomes part of the problem. So it's just a lot of that, and it was a lot of navigating that. But the good thing about comedy, which is kind of back to what I was saying at the beginning, is that you can do whatever you want. If you got a group of friends that look like you, or you prioritize booking more diversely and hearing from voices that are not like your own, which I do when I book my shows, then you can kind of create whatever lane you want in comedy, which is why I love it. I will never turn my back on it. Yeah, you can create whatever world you want. Like I can't control where I'm booked, but you can say no to things, but you can't dictate anybody else's lineup. But when I create things, it's definitely like reflects the world I want to live in. So yeah, industry though you can't really do anything with them. They're gonna they're gonna do what they need to do and hire the people they want to hire. But I just find that being authentic, the people who want to work with me usually find me. So yeah,
I don't know. That's right. I know that's right. People that want to work with me find me, and I say yes, and I get up there.
yeah.
Question, yeah, because and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a stand-up comedian, but I have tons of friends that do it. And again, I literally support comedy shows all the time. Like I'm always at a comedy show. Now that I live in LA, I get to do so many more. It excites me. People will hear about a comedy show coming to the area, and they'll be like, "Mo, you want tickets? I'll get you tickets. Where you go?" And I'm like, yes. But
Love
so
it.
my understanding is that you guys do a lot of sets, and there's a lot of comedians that go on, and whether it's aired for TV or whatever, they're recording, they're getting things ready. Do you get, because you said it was a boys club, Do you feel the difference when there's maybe gender parity? Have you ever experienced gender parity behind the stage where it's like, oh, there's two other women here. Oh, at least let me go talk to them. Does it feel less boys club, or do you still feel like you have to like fit into that boys club as
Oh,
a woman? Mm-hmm.
no, that's never been. Just I can't really speak for everybody. I know there is pressure in any male dominated industry for women to, you got to kind of choose which path you're going to take, the sort of assimilation path or sort of like, I'm just going to do me, and if y'all are mad, like I don't know what to say about that, like, and that's kind of how I live though. Like I don't, honestly, I don't even know if anybody is mad about what I'm doing because I'm very much in my own world. So
I love
um,
that.
I'm very much sort of like in my own bubble, just sort of living life. But there are times, like especially as a younger comedian, now I don't really think about it, but as
Yeah.
a comedian, when you're in those rooms, you don't really know a lot of people, or people don't know you. I was coming into the situation actually knowing a lot of the people that I was working with, and I remember this feeling of not wanting to bomb in front of people that I respected and I wanted to work with, and I would like get all nervous about it and stuff. But there was this thing I do remember. It was a very distinct feeling of like people, especially coming as like a little black girl in Chicago, and
Right.
in rooms that weren't black, like in rooms that weren't black. No, I remember this distinct like before and after that would happen. When I would walk in a room and
Mm-hmm.
nobody would really know me, and they, all the comics would be like, I walk in the green room, they'd be like, I guess, and they wouldn't really talk to me that much. But I'm in my own world. Then after I get off stage, the energy would be different. And this is
Mm.
comedians, male and white comedians. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, Rebecca, da 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 da. Especially because a lot of my subject matter does tend to be like nerdy stuff. Does especially my early subject matter. The tune change was palpable. Like the tune change was very much like before and after. But as an older comedian, I really don't even think about that at all. Like I just come there to entertain the audience and have a good time. So yeah.
I like that. So it's like before you do your set, they're like, okay, anyways, yeah, we just here to grind. And then afterwards, it's, oh, now you know
I
my
don't
name.
blame them for that either, because like it is
You-
like it's a community of friends. If some randos walking in, like I'm nice to everybody, but I'm not exactly I'm not like the welcome wagon either. So I
It's that idea that they're like your coworkers. You don't need to be like
yeah,
BFFs, right?
a
You're
lot of
just there.
comedians are BFFs though. Like once they get to know
Right.
you, that's a whole different thing. But like there's definitely that. And to answer your question more directly, I would see that a newer, like let's say it's a room full of white guys. If a newer white male comedian they've never heard of walks in, there's more warmth there than it's like,
Exactly.
or at least there's not the instant writing off of like nothing to see here. And I'm gonna be shady. And more often than not, honestly, if a woman is doing comedy, she's really wants it bad, and I always pay attention to them because I'm like, if she's in here with y'all, she really wants to do this, so she's worked hard, she's gonna be funny, and they don't really think like that. So,
Oh, I
so
really
they
appreciate
think
you
like,
saying that. I really
yeah,
appreciate you saying that. I've been to a lot of shows now, I guess in LA, and I guess location matters all the time, right? Where I'm so
LA.
excited that there's like at least more than one, woman comedian. And then there'd be one that's like
My
not
kids
white.
too.
Like,
They
oh,
took one of
finally,
my kids.
we have four men and three women. I'm like, oh, we're so close. Like, this is so nice. It's that beautiful
Mhm.
balance. It's very noticeable and palpable to me too. So, I like that behind the stage, there's that you've noticed that if it's a white man that comes in with a bunch of other white men, it's like he's a little bit more welcomed than the
Yeah,
others.
and it's
And
not even in my experience. It's not even malicious. It truly is like a
exactly.
human nature thing. Like people, unfortunately, and not even. I don't even know if I'm gonna put. I'm not gonna do too much condemnation because it is kind of what it is. But there was
Yeah.
definitely a shift the before the set and after the set shifts, and like that's why right now as a more established comedian, like when I do my own shows, I book the kind of shows I want to see. Like I book black queer people of all sexualities and gender orientations, and I have a one white person per show max. Like if I
I love that.
yeah, I've only done well. Yeah, I caught COVID, but I did two shows. The show I had Angel Baby, and yeah, that's like in the advertising. Like, if you're coming here to hear the same like white guy with different hair color tell the same jokes over and over again, you're not gonna have a good time, because you're gonna hear from a lot of different perspectives. Like you're gonna hear jokes from people you maybe have not met that type of person before, and now you're gonna be listening to the world from their point of view. So strap in, we're gonna have a good time.
No, I love that. It's that storytelling from all those different perspectives, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is not a white man with different
And
with
here's the
different hair color. I
crazy
love
part. A
that.
lot of my favorite comedians are white men. Like I did come up on the Comedy Central dry white boy era. So they, I hate to say, but I am one of their sons stylistically. So I can't hit on them too much. Like
Right.
I did
No.
come up learn joke writing from a lot of straight white men, and yeah. So
And
they're
I
funny
loved it.
too. They're funny too. Like we'll give
Of
them
course, of course. And
one
yeah,
flower.
none of this conversation is a knock, but it's that inadvertent, like, when we talk about community, we don't want to talk about what community excludes. And so that's why I was just wondering kind of what your experience was in comedy, right? That
Yeah.
comedy community, yes, you want people. So when they go to Becca's show, there's going to be a lot of non-white, non-cis straight, right? What can we say here? A lot of non-binary people.
I've only done
People.
2 of the shows. I did catch COVID in December. It was supposed to be the third show, and I haven't picked it back up yet. But the first 2 shows, just thinking about the lineups, um, black women, men and women. I'm not straight. Yeah, all my non-straight black friends, pretty much. And then the first show I had Gavin Matz, hilarious stand-up comedian. He's unfortunately white. And then second show I had a white guy too. Yeah, you people your Doyak Travis, Sydney Washington. I don't even remember who I booked on these shows. This was a while ago, but the funniest black people you need to be following on Twitter and stuff.
Period. And follow Becca O'Neill so we can tap in. We can support our show. Sorry you got COVID. That shit
Oh,
went
I'm fine now.
rampant in December, and we're hoping that you come back and we can support all of the shows that you do. On
Yeah, I'm
that
doing
tip,
a new
before
show in an accessible venue. My other show was a floor up, so we're not doing that. It's going to be a flat surface next time. Yeah.
and so on that topic, though, I tweeted earlier today, and I told you I was going to do this. I tweeted earlier, name one thing that you were taught
Mm.
prior to adulthood that you had to unlearn now. And I told you that I would kind of tailor that to you being a stand-up comedian, actor, writer, and we'll get into that more. But
Mm-hmm.
what is one thing that you were taught or that you felt like was appropriate and necessary and true for being a comedian 10 years ago? And what did you have to unlearn, or how did you pivot to what it is now, and how you manage your business now?
Yeah, I did talk to you about it a little bit right before this, but my big thing that I'm unlearning right now is not necessarily something I was taught, but something that I think I shoehorned myself a little bit into the stand-up comedian lane. Like 10 years ago, I walked onto a stage and decided I wanted to be a comedian. And like I was mentioning before, a lot of opportunities come up organically. And I will say until the pandemic, I've been a little resistant to that pivot, that lane change. Like, but I think having stand up comedy and live performance sort of literally taken away for me, I'm like, you know what, girl, get Final Draft, write that pilot your agent wants you to write, and now I love it. I'm actually really enjoying it. Um, not not what I got in here to do. It's not what I came into stand up to do, but um, that's what I'm learning right now. So like, go with the flow. Like these sort of organic things that pop up, they don't have to be just like whenever they roll my way. I can actually like right now I'm trying to act, which if I had even told my group chat that like 3 years ago, they'd be like, okay, that's weird, but go nuts. Like, yeah. So yeah, I'm acting on more, which is again not anything I set out to do, but the money's way better than stand-up shows, so I'm loving it.
So acting money is way better than the stand-up shows right now. And talk to us a little bit more about that, because I find it so interesting. I think that's why y'all say I'm a comedian first, because like you said, there's the pros and cons, mostly pros, but it's beautiful, right? Things happen so organically. People come up to you after you perform, after you've been on stage, after you've done a set. They reach out to you. It's very organic. They're like, "Hey, why don't you come and write for this? Why don't you come and do this?"
Yeah.
And girl, me and you both. I got Final Draft open constantly on my computer. And then I have my little side screenwriting thing for when I first started out and didn't know what Final Draft was, which is
Oof.
like cell text. And I have all my stories there that I'm like bringing up to speed to pitch. It's a lot, so I feel you on
A
that.
lot.
But
A lot.
I
It's so much. It's a whole different art form. Like that's the big pivot I'm making right now. I think I took a little bit for granted. I don't. This is also going to sound naive. I thought it was going to be way easier to write a pilot. Like, I thought I was gonna take my funny ass in the final draft and crank something out. Nope. My first pilot was bad. Like, it was so bad. But it was funny, and the journey to sort of learn the craft has been great. I haven't picked up a new skill completely in years. Like, it's been great. Like, I like to sort of hobby jump, and this is the first time I really like, set my ass down probably since I started stand up, if I'm being honestly, and like decided there was a new art form I was really going to absorb and try to get good at. And that's exactly where I'm at right now. My agent is so excited.
That is so nice. Oh, talking about
And
your
they ask
agent.
you, they ask you in the meetings. I mentioned all these, oh, so organic, so organic. But what I did mention is because I wasn't prepared, and you can't really fumble a meeting with somebody who's interested in you in your career. You can't fumble it. But I didn't have nothing to show them but the jokes they had already heard. They want to work with me, and they're like, "So what else do you do?" I'm like, "Stand up? What do you mean? What else do I do? How do you
This is
know about me? Stand up." That's
right.
what I do. Like, that used to piss me off. Actually, like my friends wouldn't understand why I was complaining about what looked like great opportunities, but I'm like, they're asking me to do things I have no idea about. And that really scared me for a while, but now I kind of gave up on that
It's
part.
beautiful. It's beautiful, right? Because you're an artist, and your
Yeah.
artistry that you love is stand up, right? Did I talk over you?
No, you're
Oh,
good.
okay. And so now you're learning to translate that into other mediums, right? I
Yeah,
won't
pretty
be
much.
shocked if later on you're like, actually, I'm filming my first little short film. I won't be surprised if in like 5, 10 years I hear
We'll
that.
see. We'll see. I'm gonna really go with the muse. We're gonna see where the muse takes me. Well, the muse is. I wish I could really do that, but there are a few things that I actually. So some of the opportunities that pop up, like y'all just be specific. Like, sometimes if somebody sees you at a show, they like your voice. They got a show that's coming out, maybe that has something to do with subject matter that you are on a lot. If you have representation, they will get in touch with them and they'll be like, "Hey, submit a packet for our show." Or if you have a spec script, send your spec script. We're hiring. We want to interview for our writers room. And I don't like the idea of fumbling because I really do consider opportunities like an infinite resource. Like, they're not, as long as I keep working, they're never going to go anywhere. But I have like not gotten jobs because that element of I wasn't ready for that. Like, I love when people love my comedy, but they be wanting a lot of extra stuff after it. They don't just come to compliment you; they come to ask you to do stuff, and I had to get ready for that. So yeah, that's what I'm doing now.
I love that. And I love that. First of all, I think, like I said, I'm new to the industry entirely. I was an engineer first, so I'm very new. But I think you already have the excitement, the enthusiasm, and the willingness to learn, which sounds cliche and maybe a little trite. But
Mm-hmm.
honestly, like, if you don't have the passion, especially because it's a quote unquote new skill, right? Like, you're learning
Oh
about,
yeah, yeah.
you don't have the passion, then this is not going to work out for you because it quite literally is a dedication. And like you said, it is very hard. You know,
It's way harder than, and it sounds so goofy. Like, what happened with this shift is like, and I don't want to say industry pressure, like people are knocking down my door for this pilot, but I am in a sort of, I don't know how unique this position is, but like there's like an ice cream truck right outside of my window, so enjoy the ambiance. But there's there's something that happens in stand up once you've done a few things on TV where people want to see what you've written. So I've got people asking, people I would love to work with. So I feel like I'm in a good position for whenever I do develop this skill set. But I'll keep y'all posted and let you know how the pilot's going. We'll see.
yes, and some of these take forever. Some of these take months, years.
Yo,
And let's talk about it though, right? Because you are not new to writing. You're not new
no.
to writing. And you have been in a writer's room before. Tell the audience you've done something before, and with the guests that I've had on the show before. How did that go?
Oh,
Where did that go?
okay. So that's a few different stories. So I'll just go to the my background before stand up was I was a writer. Like, if you're an old person and you were in the 2010s online era, I come from the extremely online blogger era. So I wrote for like a lot of pop culture blogs like Video Gum, Splitsider, Gawker, all places that do not even exist anymore, but you can Google them. And a couple of like print things. Like, I was writing about comedy for Vanity Fair a couple times. Like, just that was my passion at the time, and I always loved comedy. And I ended up sort of in this lane where I was interviewing comedians a lot for a few different publications, and at the same time tweeting out jokes and stuff. And that's how I took the leap into doing stand up. Like, I talked to some stand ups and just sort of decided to do it one day. So That's my background in writing. This comes from like a comedy journalism, pop culture writing space. But as far as writing rooms, um, yeah, I've been in a sketch writing room before. And here's the thing, I had never. This is what I'm talking about. Like you sort of organically stumble into opportunities. Um, they just liked the cut of my jib, I guess, and I liked what I was doing. I told them my first day that I had never written a sketch before, and this sounds crazy. Like I have been doing stand up for 7 years at this point, and I had literally never even written a sketch. Like when I say I did stand up, that's exactly what I mean. Like people think the industry is never ready when I say that. But I got in this writer's room. It went okay. They did not end up filming any of my sketches, but I did punch up. I added so many jokes to everybody else's sketches. So yeah, you get in where you fit in. The check cleared, and I'm still trying to write to this day, 2 years later.
And I
But here's the
love
thing,
that.
I didn't love writing when I got that job. I had no ambitions to be in a writer's room at that point. Like I was still very much
Right.
like, and I was acting a little bit. Then the pandemic happened, and during the pandemic, I bought Final Draft with my own money and decided like now's the time. So I wish I had that sort of drive when I had that job. I probably would have won a little better, but it
And
is what it is.
And I love when artists say that, right? Because I think a lot of people, and we'll talk about a day in the life of Becca here next. We'll kind of segue perfectly into that. But I love when you guys say like the check cleared, because I don't think a lot of people that we expect. We find this artistry exciting, right? You're on stage, the lights are on you, you're telling jokes, people are paying you to tell jokes. Like that's an amazing life. People are flying you to different cities to just go on stage and make people laugh. You get free drinks, you create these communities, you get more opportunities organically. It all seems like very nice and flashy, and it is, but it's like the other aspect of it is like it's a job too. And so when you get into these writers rooms or you get these other acting opportunities, people forget like yeah, you didn't see the show, but the check cleared, and a lot of times some part of
Yo,
this is doing my
I've worked
job.
on so many projects that will never see the light of day, but that paid my rent for a couple months. Like, yeah, literally, it's between me, group chat, and God. Like, people will never know. Actually, I can talk about one of them. It was supposed to be called Good Sex. It was gonna come out on Logo and like MTV Digital or something. I honestly don't know what MTV Digital is. I think they have their own platform, but it was a cute show. It had an LGBTQ focus. It was like some best week ever talking head type stuff with a bunch of comedians just riffing on different like some of it was like sex history, some of it was sex toys. They went in all sorts of directions. Great cast, if you know like Jay Jordan and some other people. It was like a really good cast of comedians and stuff. And yeah, it the pilot was shot. We all got our money, and somebody at one of the networks no longer has that job, and the project just won't come out. And that's one example from the past year. Yeah.
Oh, what, within the past year? That's amazing.
This is from the
Yeah.
past year. Yeah, and this happens. I say there are some people who get cast in a pilot every year, and then that pilot on or in a show, and that show only goes one season. So
Right,
every year they
right.
got to get on a new show, which is a great. It's not even a problem, but it's just the nature of what we are trying to do here, I guess.
Right. And that's why I love having everybody on the show has had some sort of, you know, conversation about that, some sort of example, some sort of experience where, yeah, we did all of that and the check cleared, but you guys don't know what it's called. Because first of all, when you said
Yeah.
Good Sex, I was like, oh, that sounds like a really cool show.
It
Damn
was
it,
cute. Yeah, I
it
never saw
sounded
the project. I just posted the. We shot in front of a green screen, so I just posted a bunch of mysterious green pictures on my IG,
right.
and nobody will ever know what that's for. Yeah.
No one will ever, and I love that. It's like first you're trying to break for those artists in the building, the creatives that are trying to get into the industry in the audience. It's like there's going to be stuff that you do that the rest of us may not be able to experience and celebrate, but part of it is like paying your bills. Like you're not just you
And
you
that's
are in the
fun
game.
too. Yeah, like even the
Yeah,
things when you shoot it, you don't know that it's not gonna come out. And I loved the
right.
cast. And honestly, the makeup artist I worked with, I listen, if I have the choice, I will bring Lisa P. Jones with me everywhere. I was so
I know
excited when I
right.
walked on that set and saw a black woman. I'm like, girl, I know I'm about to look cute as hell. So I shot a commercial recently, and it's the first time like something that big has asked me who I want to work with for hair and makeup, and I'm like, y'all better call Lisa P. Jones because I know I'm gonna look cute on camera. So even the stuff that doesn't work, the people you meet, the relationships you build, and you get to work with your friends. So this it's all a part of it. So yeah,
It's
I don't
always
really look at like even business, and I'm not the most business minded person either. Like I'm sure y'all can
mm.
tell that. Um, I don't do look at it as just one big experience. So I am a little woo woo about it. I'm gonna be real with you.
No, and I love that. I'm an artist myself, and a lot of times when people talk about the good and the bad. It's like it's all fun. Like you said earlier, the opportunities are basically an infinite resources. You're in the room, you had a great time, and honestly, it doesn't matter if that project doesn't go anywhere or if it's not your favorite thing to do or if it's not what you're best at. You create those relationships and then you can take them into the rooms with other projects that you
And
have, right?
I've gotten so many jobs from jobs I didn't get. Like
I
Comedy
love that.
Central,
Please say that
Comedy
again.
Central, I've gotten honestly most of my work. Nah, I don't. Since I moved to New York, I'll be specific. Since I moved to New York, and it's more network type stuff because there is no industry in Chicago, so we're all kind of there's not much going on as far as like big money projects. But here in New York, I have noticed that I'll just be specific. Right before the pandemic started, I was up for this job at Comedy Central that was like a year long. I don't know what you get, like a year long salary position, I guess. And you're a content creator for their digital stuff. And I really, really wanted it. Like, this was 2019. I had just quit my job at an agency. I was like, oh my God. I was trying to be a little Don Draper or something. I don't know. But I didn't like it. And it was the first time I had a job since I started stand up in a while too. So it was just kind of like a lot of different things happening at once. And I didn't end up getting this Comedy Central job, and I was so sad about it. A few months later, I did their first digital comedy special because it was the month after the pandemic started. So a lot of people who say no to you, like industry people, like money people who say no to you for something, um, will keep you in mind for something else that you're a better fit for. So I've kind of learned that I'm just in this river, like floating along, and whoever's looking for me, that they literally will find me. So, yeah.
I love that. The people that say no to one thing will keep you in mind for other things that you're a better fit for. And
Mhm.
I think that
Time.
gives a lot of
Yeah.
people hope. That's inspiring. That's if you're trying to get into the game or and I have a lot of people on here and we talk about getting into the game, but I like to celebrate what y'all have done in the game already. So you've
Sure.
done tons of specials around the country. You want to go global. Tell me about it. Two questions for you, Becca,
Okay.
because I think you've answered them in a certain way, but I want to make sure the audience really hears. How does Becca live? What is a day in the life of Becca? We know that you was hungover, so you can't leave that out. You be hungover after shows sometimes. Um, but a day in the life of Becca, and then who does Becca want to work with in the future? A day in the life right now looks like this. In 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, what will a day in the life look like? Who are you working with? And I say that in the buzzword is manifest, and I know that's like a thing right now
No, I love
online.
it. Yeah.
But truly, I truly believe that once you say you put out in the universe, it can, and it will come. So please take this time, what we watch, follow what we watch film TV, a day in the life right now, and who you're
Okay.
going to work with in the future. Go ahead.
Okay, so a day in my life right now is actually pretty chill. I mentioned COVID. So I took a pretty long break from stand up until about 2.5 weeks ago. From mid December until 2.5 weeks ago. I was sick. And a lot of New York live comedy shut down for a while too. Like pretty much everybody who was out performing at this one show, it was a Sunday in December, early December, was sick by the following Wednesday. And if you know comedy shows, like if one comedian gets sick, like we're all touching the same microphone. The scene was down for count. So I'm just back. I'm just back in the game. So right now my day is like, honestly, I'm at home a lot. Right now I'm writing. I mentioned my pilot. Like my agent is so excited that I'm working on this pilot seriously now. Like she's been insisted upon it since the day we met. And so I'm doing that a lot, and then shows at night. Now that I'm back performing, I'm so excited. Yeah, I've got like I'm back to like 3 shows a week, which is it's just good for me right now. Like my social battery, I'm sure we all experience this. Like something happened to the social battery over quarantine where I cannot do. I used to do several shows a night. I don't know who that girl was. I need to go steal some of her energy because I absolutely will not be doing that anymore. Like no. So I do like a few shows a week, maybe 4 if I'm feeling like if I, you know what I'm saying, take my vitamins, I might do 4 shows a week. So that's where you can catch me. But I like to, I live a leisurely lifestyle right now. Like, let
I
me
know
tell you,
that's
acting is so is money wise, not as far as my passion. I have no passion for acting. I hate to say that for anybody who loves that. Um, but
it is a very
but
hard
do a
job.
couple
I have
commercials, you cannot have a day job, and that's what I listen, I love that for me. Like, I don't want to do it. I hated it every time I have. So yeah.
And I love that because
Shows are nice.
I have found a found love and respect for actors because I've been on set now, and those guys just have to go through like run after rerun, take after take, and I'm like, y'all are amazing, and so I can see how it may be the check that's keeping you around in your
And
true
I
passion is in
who
comedy.
truly love it. I have people who have made that shift to, it's their new number one, not just their new bag, but there's something like if you're creative, there is a fluidity to what you will do with your career. There's always going to be, um, and some people really find, some people that I'm actually really close with have found, like, you know what? Acting. Who knew? Like, this feels nice. That has not been my experience. Like, but I have enjoyed the things I have done. It's been really fun, and yeah, and I definitely want to do more of it. So there we go. I love writing though. Like now that I've gotten to screenwriting, something about the format.
Yes,
It's super challenging. It's like a little
yeah,
puzzle. I didn't expect this at all. I expected to string a bunch of jokes together, have a funny little character or something, but it's way more to it than that. Like
man, right? And it's
story
like
engineering. Like these people, I think they might be geniuses. Like I honestly can't believe anybody's ever done it. I don't know how any television shows ever got made. Let me be honest with you. So yeah.
you have affirmed me in so many ways just now because same. I've only been a screenwriter for a little over a year and it is a completely different world. I don't think people even like really understand it.
I'm
Like
one of the
yes,
people who didn't really understand it. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
you can write articles, you can write
Yeah.
books, but then when you write something to be on camera, it's just a whole different
It's its
world.
own language. It's completely its own language. It's
Yes.
it's and I won't say that I came in at a complete disadvantage. Like I have made a career before stand up. I had a career writing, but I was writing online,
Right.
editorial, interviewing people,
Right.
stuff like that, pop culture. So it's gotten me back into the discipline of writing, which is cute. Also, but again, it's a new art form. Like, and I'm realizing just as seriously, like all that passion I had for stand up when I first started, and all the energy and the work I put in to get good, I'm gonna have to do that for screenwriting. Like, if I really want to get good at this completely different art form, trying to do it has made me realize how seriously I'm gonna have to take it. So, we're there. That's where we are right now.
I love that. It is an art form and
Yeah.
I like that you said the discipline of writing, the discipline of writing because it is a discipline.
It's a
We think
different
profession.
discipline than stand up for me. It completely like jokes are short. Jokes are so short. And my jokes are two liners. Like you hear about one liner comedians. I'm a two-liner comedian. I do a
Give
setup punchline. Boom, boom, baby. That's it.
give me an example. Those of us in the room, I don't know. What is a two line
I
comedy?
coined that term because
Yes.
number one, I can't write good one-liners. If I could do it, I would be doing it. But that's maybe one day. I like short jokes. Felonious is in the room. Monk's in the room. Like, girl, yeah. You do what you find your voice. Like, 10 years in the game, I found my voice, and it's very much like this happened to me, and this is how I feel about it. Wasn't that an interesting take? And everybody laughs. That's it. Over and over again.
I
No matter
love that.
the topic, if it's science fiction, if it's my new hairstyle, if it's outer space, if it's Russia, here's what happened, and here's how I feel about it. But it's a weird take that nobody else could say but me because doing stand up as long as I've done it, you really learn your own mind. And yeah.
And let me celebrate and affirm you in that because I watched one of your clips and I think it was on like mental health, anxiety, or depression or
Yeah.
something.
That's the new one that just came out. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and I love that clip. I was like, okay, this is good. She's good. Where can I go see her? And now I'm gonna listen because I kind of listen in like musical terms and
Yeah.
and so I'm gonna listen for like how you tell the joke. And I love that you
Okay.
talked about writing as a new art form, the discipline of writing, because a lot of times, again, I don't know how many times I'm gonna say this. I have so many comedian friends. I'm always there and in the very beginning, when I first realized I loved comedy, I would love to watch y'all prepare for shows. And so, are you the one with the journal and the writing?
Oh
How do you,
yeah. But the little, it depends on the circumstance. Like at this point, sometimes I need a set list. Like I've only been back on stage post COVID a couple weeks, and all my material is new. So I usually have a little cheat sheet. But like in the very beginning, I'm gonna just walk you through my processes real quick. The very beginning, I had copious notes. I wrote my jokes out word for word. I put the comma in. I was up there reciting what I wrote. the jokes were good, but I had no idea how to perform. It took me a year and a half to learn how to perform, but I could always write jokes. So that was my first process. Then as I sort of got comfortable on stage, maybe like a year and a half, 2 years in, you become less reliant on are these jokes bulletproof versus can I sell this? So I got into I'm trying to sell this era for the maybe the second through fifth year. And now I'm just on stage being myself at this point. Like sometimes I don't have a plan, but that's when it doesn't matter. Like if I'm just at a show kicking it, I'll really go up and just have a good time. Like I really, really enjoy being on stage. So I'm having a good time. But if it's something that's important, like if we're doing something that, if it's like a stand up audition, or if I know sometimes even if I do know industries in the room, especially if it's somebody I already know, I'm like, they know what I do. Like, I'm just gonna have a good time. So it's based on my mood whether I'm gonna like do a strict set or like just vibe out.
I love that. I love that because it sounds like you've been in the game so long that you've kind of found your rhythm. And at this point, and correct me if I'm wrong, at this point, you're like, y'all know what it is. Y'all know I'm finna be myself. I know my vibe. I know my voice. Y'all know what I'm bringing to the table. Y'all
That's
gonna rock with me.
other industry people. For the audiences, I don't think they know who I am when I walk into most of these shows. Like, people buy a ticket for a show online, unless it's something where my name is like I'm the person they're coming to see or my specific show. A lot of the shows I get booked on, the audience really has no idea what's gonna happen. Like, unless they are familiar with the person producing the show. So I'm walking in on a blank.
Mm.
I'm walking in on a show I got booked on. I got my 2 little drink tickets. I'm probably gonna get anywhere between like 30 and 100 and something. It depends on the show. You can get hundreds of dollars for shows, and you can get like $40 and 2 drink tickets for shows. So you could do those same night too. Like you could do a show, a $25 and a drink ticket show. And you can go to a club, open it for somebody big, and make hundreds of dollars. And the next day do something for TV and make way more than that. So it's really all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Audience on those shows where you just booked, you're on the flyer, you post it on your IG, they don't know who they're about to see. So, I always come in first. I don't really think, not that I don't think about other comedians, I love seeing them, but I come in like this audience, I'm going to entertain these people. Like they came here, they paid their money. I'm going to have a good time. And when I have a good time, the audience always has a good time. So, yeah, that's pretty much how I think about it.
What is the drink responsible for your hangover today?
Whew. Well. So I the pandemic too, I realized something. Monk, you're in here. So I don't know how your life is set up, but I realized I did not drink at all outside of comedy. I never put that together in
Oh
my whole
wow.
until comedy went away, and I'm like, I don't even drink. Like I was only drinking because they were giving me these drink tickets. Like I never put it together. So now that comedy is back out, I'm more cognizant of that. I'm like, it's kind of just a habit because it's part of like the setup of what you do every day of your life. So last night though, it was a '70s themed show, and I went out with the intent to turn up. I had some whiskey gingers, and after you have a good set, you do. There's a certain. I'm like in my 30s now. Like I started in my 20s. Like I was out living it up. You have to be cognizant. People are out flattering you. They are like trying to give you free stuff. Like I'm
This
having
sounds like I need to get into comedy. Is that what I
a
gotta? I like
you,
flattery and free drinks.
you until you're drunk and you're gaining weight. And like, you come to the show. You like have your 2 drinks, but if you do 2 shows a night, how many ever shows a week? Like, yeah, I'm glad I sort of had that broken up. And it was in the Midwest, it's like a drinking culture too. Like in New York, um, it's way less of that. But I did realize like it's just kind of part of the culture. So last night I made the conscious choice to literally like go turn up. It's a '70s theme show. I did a whole outfit, did a style of the wig, everything. The host was in a gold shirt with his chest tear out. Like it was a lot going on. So, and it was all my friends on the show. Monk will know these people. It was Marie. It was Yadoye. So we had a great time. Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so what drink was it? I think I asked you what drink. What drink
And
was it?
and then I had 2 of my own recognizance, and then some nice audience member came up giving me compliments. And I'm like, I will have another. Then the bartender was like, "You're so funny. Here's a shot." And next thing you know, guess who's hungover? So, yeah.
And here we are. I'm glad you got ready 2 hours before to talk to us and what we watch. And those of you in the audience, I shared some tweets up top. Once you said '70s show, I was like, "Ooh, did you get into costume?" And you
Oh,
did. I
I
see
love
you posted the picture.
Yes, I love a theme. Like I'm corny too. Like I embrace it. Like I unfortunately was the only comedian who dressed up for the theme, and I loved every
Are
second
you
of.
serious?
Yes, like comedians are very cool. Like
Oh
especially.
my God. I would think everybody would have tapped in.
No, here's the thing. Some audience members did, and the host obviously did. I heard 70s thing, but I met this host a couple weeks ago, and I did a show, the show I was doing before I caught COVID, Angel Baby, and my flyers were very like 70s comic book themed. So we kind of like had a moment, like he was like, "I love your flyers," and I'm like, and he dresses like this all the time, though it's not a bit. Um, and I up and I was like, "I bet you did love my flyers. Like, you look like you own one of them." So he had this show, and I was already tapped in. I was ready, like. But also the other comedians had other shows. I think at least Courtney B did, and I'm like, I don't think she wants to show up in full glitter to like Caroline's or some shit. That'd be a whole nother thing she would have had to address on stage. Like I get it. So, but I am corny. I'm particularly corny for a stand-up comedian. Though
I would have
I
definitely been in the audience dressed up. You say 70, you say theme anything. Whatever theme is in the building, I'm in there.
oh,
So I honor I'm glad that you showed up fully dressed. Did Lisa P. Jones tap in with you for that?
I did some jokes. I would have been at Studio 54 acting like a thought. I would have invented twerking, all sorts of goofy shit. Uh, having a
So, and thank you so much. So, we've talked about your acting, screenwriting, and that you are a comedian first. Like I said, I love talking to comedians on this show. Y'all will make sure that we know that first. And that's like not just about yourselves, but like the community that y'all create too. So, I love that. You talked about being a Black woman and how really it sounds like the confidence and the comfort in yourself has really kind of made all of the other obstacles not really a thing, right? Like I'm in my own world. You said that quite a bit here.
that's years. I don't want to oversimplify things. I would say at the point of in my career that I am now, I don't let it bother me too much. But we're living in a society. I don't exist outside of that society, and the challenges that every Black woman faces, I still face in my industry. I'm just at a point now where
Mm.
what is for me, and it is what it is. And I know my voice, and I know what kind of work I want to do. So it's more about me seeking things out versus like going through people who may not be aligned with what I'm up to. So yeah,
I
but
think
those
that,
exist. They exist.
I think that's very powerful. I think it's very powerful, and I really like that you have just acknowledged that. And I think for people that are trying to get into the industry, or not even in this industry, are trying to approach anything in life, you know, that confidence and that making sure, hey, like this is who I am, and what's not for me isn't for me, and that's okay. I think that's something that people can definitely take away from that. So let's play two games. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, we're gonna do this or that first because this is what we watch. You guys tap in. This is Becca O'Neill. Again, look at the top tweets. I shared your link tree, Becca, and she will also share some of her Comedy Central specials that have been out. Right? She's hilarious. Like you said, what term are you gonna coin? The two liner?
Oh, the two liner, yeah.
Yeah, the two liner. That's Becca O'Neill. You guys,
Right.
two liner. So, you said what now?
I said, look out for the two liners. I'm really definitely trying to make fetch happen with that. Nobody's ever going to say that after this conversation.
Okay, so let's play this or that because we're gonna get into some movies. I want to know what movies and TV shows you've been watching. Now that you're a screenwriter, immersing yourself in that world is going to be necessary too. So I know your agent is excited. So let's start here. I'm gonna start easy. Drama or comedy?
Comedy,
War or crime?
crime.
Oh, you said that real fast.
I,
Romantic or rom com?
I hate war content. I'm gonna watch Dunkirk, but I'm upset about it.
Have you seen 1917?
Of course not. No
Okay,
way.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Romantic or rom com?
Oh, rom com,
Musical or animation?
animation.
Okay, what animation you like?
Oh, I love anime. I do love that, but I do like a lot of like what could be considered nerdy stuff. Like I like DC animated movies. And I don't really watch like kids shows anymore, like the cartoon Batman the animated series. But I'm about to rewatch it after watching the new Batman movie because it was so good and reminded me so much of the animated series. So, and I tweet about this. Like I live tweet DC movies, the animated movies the day they come out. It's very nerdy stuff. So if you're into that, Come check me out. Yeah.
Tap in, tap in. Okay, so this is a good one. Comedy romance or comedy action?
Ooh, comedy action. That's my favorite genre. If you
Really?
get all three in there, look, don't romance the stone on me, because if you can get all three, comedy, drama, and romance, I'm watching it. Like National Treasure, stop. Yeah, that's
Okay.
my right there. Like that's ultimately if I write a screenplay, which seems impossible right now. Like I, the fact that pilot is so hard, I have to go back to sketches because it's smaller. Like it's smaller pieces to look at.
Right.
Um, Holy shit. I don't know how any movie has ever gotten written, but if I ever figure this out and write a screenplay, it's gonna be a comedy, action, drama, romance. Because that's my favorite genre on earth. The Mummy, yeah, that's my favorite genre on earth.
First of all, you absolutely will write out this screenplay, and I can't wait. We all of us can't wait to watch your work that you wrote down because you sound so passionate about it, and acknowledging that it's challenging is actually really important. Huh?
I'm shocked. I've been tweeting about constantly like how hard screenwriting is, and I'm not trying to be cocky like at all. But like I did think it was gonna be way easier than this. Like it's it's so embarrassing. Like honestly, it's been very humbling to try and
I
at your
I
big
I
age.
have I have 8 screenwriting books that like are in my periphery right now. It's it's a whole new world that I've
Fun though. It is fun. I'll give it that. Like I see why people like, because I see that you probably did spend a lot of time not making money in the beginning of this too. So you really kind of I think have to love it. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I'm not making as nearly as much money as I was, but I am having the time of my life. I cannot stress this
But
enough. I'm having the time of my life.
I,
Um, but I want to keep in mind what you just said, and I'm gonna ask you one more this or that, and then we're gonna go into a pillar of what we watch because you and I ask every guest this, and we go from there. And those of you in the audience, if you've been in any of these spaces, you know I kind of managed to wiggle this into any conversation. I'm very good at it. But let me ask you one more because I feel
mhm.
like I know your answer, but maybe not. Superheroes or supernatural?
Oh, that's impossible. Um,
I felt like you might like supernatural too.
I like those. Both those are. I know it's like action comedy. Da da da. That's my movie genre. My TV genre. It is sci-fi. Like I love sci-fi in any format. I'll watch it if you put it on anything. Like the new
Hmm.
sketch writing is all science. It's like a group of science fiction themed comedy sketches. But a lot of the TV shows I watch are pure fantasy. Like I love witch. If you could do like a fantasy magical world with like black and brown characters, I watch something called The Outpost. Yeah, there's a bunch of those. Like I love them. So fantasy
Mm. You getting in
TV.
my
I love that like fantasy magical world sort of thing, and that's
same.
the kind of read too. Like I read short stories that are like sci-fi and fantasy. So
So it sounds like your answer is supernatural.
you, I can't choose. You can't make me choose.
All right,
This ain't.
I'm gonna make you choose. You got 2 offers to join a writer's room, same pay,
Oh, this
same
is a sick
wonderful people.
question. Okay, science fiction. Science fiction. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So let me share a pillar of what we watch before I go into the second game, which we love. It's my personal favorite, and I love because we get to know a little bit more about Becca O'Neill from the Rapid Fire. But a pillar of what we watch. Everything is a romance. And if there's no romance in it, the lack thereof or the pursuit of is a large part of the story. Or my other clause is I want you to attempt to write something that has no romance in it. How do you feel about those comments?
I'm not gonna argue with that. That sounds good to me. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I check to make sure who I'm gonna bring back on the show. That's really
No,
what I
I
do
love
that
that.
for.
You know
Just
what though?
to,
Writing scenes now or learning the dynamic of what a scene should be to be successful, at least. Um, it is that. It's a push, it's a pull, it's two people wanting things. And that's a relationship. Like
yep.
that's a little relationship right there. So even at like the smallest parts, I think everything is kind of a romance. Now that I'm really learning this shit, I'm in the trenches.
See?
I agree with you.
See, that's why I like you, Becca. And I think Bruce is in the room and he knows I don't say the word bromance. That's not a thing. It's just romance. It's romance. And
Ro-
it's romance between two
okay.
men. Why are we calling it bromance? It's just a romance. It's
Sure.
fine.
There
You have a
there
romantic relationship with a man. It's okay. But no, thank you so much. There's music to
Yeah.
my ears. Like I said, generally speaking, it's just a quiet test. And those of you in the room know how I am. Again, if you disagree, try to write something with no romance in it. you're not gonna be able to pitch it. No, I'm just kidding. Good luck to you, whatever you're pitching. But so let's go into the next game, which is the mood movie game or the mood movie and TV game. Okay. I'm gonna give you a mood rapid fire. First one that comes to mind. This is what I want to see what your brain thinks about when I say these words, and then the audience will get to know. Audience, there's a bottom right hand corner. There's a heart with a plus sign. Click on that if you are liking some of her answers. Don't even worry about it, Becca. They're probably gonna like all of it. But like if you enjoy some of it, or if you've seen what the work that she shares, please just clap as she says it. So I'm gonna be like sad, and she's gonna be like moonlight, and then you clap if you would agree, or if you see that, or if you would put it under another category. Okay. So let's play the game. Since I just said sad, I'm gonna come back to that. I'm gonna start with afraid.
Oh, okay. Afraid. What am I gonna say for afraid? I will say that what's that show that came out recently? It was like black horror. Not
Lovecraft Country.
Yes, Lovecraft Country. I'm gonna say that because I didn't finish it. It was actually scary. I'm like, what is all? They really ripping shit up in here. Like I'm good on that. I thought everybody was doing a great job though. So congrats to them.
You didn't finish it because it was too horrifying?
I just wasn't in the right place for it. Like I typically like spooky shit, but like I was not enjoying it. Honestly,
it was a little too spooky.
It was capital G good and all that, but I didn't want to watch it. So
got it. Okay, hilarious.
What was that? Was the prompt?
That's the mood. Hilarious.
Oh, Abbott Elementary. Yes, I've rewatched multiple times already. Like I love it.
Longest 3-week break of my life. I'm like, come on.
I can't believe it. Honestly, I'm sick to my stomach. Like I rewatched episodes, and you know what? Their pilot is so good. It's been very instructive to me in learning how to construct a successful pilot. Like I have a Google Doc where I look at their scenes. Like, wow, I've read about how this is supposed to go, and they did it. By God, they did it. Like I've looked at it so many times because it's.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you said that because
it's perfect. Their pilot is perfect. They didn't do nothing wrong. Like it's wow, art, true art.
90%. Right, 90% of me writing my pilot has been reading other pilots. So far.
For me, like, yeah. Again, I didn't come into this like no film school or anything, and honestly, I didn't even want to do it till last year. So I'm very much learning from the things that I like. I'm trying to have my taste guide me. Like, what do you like? Why do you like it?
Yes.
Do you? That have nothing to do with it being good. I've realized that too. Learning some things I like, not because they're well done, just because I like them.
Yes, Becca, me and you gonna be friends offline. I'm gonna have to be your friend because you get it. Because a day in my life is like watching TV, reading pilots, and writing my own pilots. Like I've written 3 already, submitted them. We in here, so yeah. Welcome to the world. I'm glad that you're enjoying it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Now that I've decided to commit to it, finally, it's a lot of fun. I was resistant for way too long. Yeah.
It's interesting, and people will send me their work too, their screenplays as well. And this one guy was talking to me, and he was like, "Well, let me guess, you're either reading or writing a screenplay." And I was like, "Yes." And he's like, "Can I ask you a question? Does it ever get draining? Do you ever get like tired of reading people's scripts if they're bad?" And I said, "No, I am obsessed with it. I love it. I'll read anything that you send me. I love it because really." If I don't think it's quote unquote good, which is always subjective, but if I don't think it's quote unquote good, then it still helps me because I know what I don't want to write. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know what I don't want to sound like, and I don't what when I'm calling out. True. Yeah. So no, I was like, no, I love every single moment. It's never draining to me. I will read any screenplay, and we'll have a session on feedback. And I've had like 4 of these already, and I love it. So, anyways, sorry, we got into passion. Speaking of passion. The next word for you is passionate.
Ooh, passionate. Oh, I'm gonna cheat and just say Passions. This is old soap opera called Passions, and it's the first thing I thought of. I used to watch it like before I went to school in the morning, and it was ridiculous. It had magic in it. We were talking about fantasy. It had like a witch and like some sort of assistant witch or something. I don't know,
but I like that. I don't know that I've ever seen that. I might be telling my age now because I'm a little younger than most. But like, I don't know what that is. That sounds fire though.
I don't even remember what channel it went on, but there was like, oh, and the heart of the show was a young Hispanic couple too. Like,
oh my god,
yeah, it was like a young
Latinos in the building. I have to watch this.
And it was such a fun show. Like, I don't remember anything being too scandalous. Like, I didn't have too many questions. Like, what do they mean by that? Like, kids don't know. Um, but it was like a fun show. It had like interesting plot lines, and me and my sister would watch it before we went to school in the morning. So, Passions, this old soap opera. Yeah.
I love that assessment. It's not too scandalous, not too much going on. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Because a lot of TV shows are like that now, right? Like, a lot of TV shows be like, what the fuck is going on here?
A lot. I do like that in my
Me
adulthood.
too.
Supervised child stuff. I'm like, we were safe. Like, we weren't seeing nothing that would have scarred us for life. Like, we were okay in the hands of Passions.
I'm watching a show called Severance, and basically the log line is these people have had their memories surgically separated based on their spatial locations. So you don't remember anything about your personal life at work, and you don't remember anything about your work life in your personal life. It is the entire show is what the fuck is going on? What the fuck is this? That's the
Oh,
entire show. It's
that sounds interesting.
crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really interesting concept. But anyways, let's do a couple more moods because I like your responses so far. You've been pretty quick. Criminal, and Criminal is a mood. You guys in the
Criminal
audience.
food. Okay. I guess I checked out this show. What is it called? Let me look at. I'm watching this show right now. I honestly can't even remember the name. It's with It's like Blacklist if she were a woman.
Killing Eve.
No, it's not Killing. I did like Killing Eve a lot though. I'm not caught up on it. Girl, I don't know what the show is called. There's a black female cop, which I'm not a big fan of cop again. But the cops don't look that great in this show. Like, they're not doing a good job. So, I'll find the name of the show at some
Does
point.
anyone if anyone knows the name of the show, come up.
Okay, I'm gonna Google.
Don't worry. I feel like somebody in here might know too. I'm gonna give you a couple more moods. Sad.
Oh, sorry, I'm Googling this show. Anyways, what was it? Sad?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna say Game of Thrones for sad.
Which episode?
All of it. Such a depressing show. Even before it went off the rails, like, I didn't know. And I missed, like, I took a couple seasons off and tried to binge it. And I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, these people are miserable. Everybody on the show is having a bad day. Nobody in Game of Thrones has ever been like, that was nice. Like, it's never happened. I'm just inhaling. And that's the last time I, like, watched the show back to back to back that was that, like, miserable. Like, everybody in Westeros was fucking miserable at all times. No way. No way.
No one has ever been like, hey, that was good. Hey, that was good. I had a good day.
A subplot on one episode where they're like, okay, nice to see you too. Nothing like that.
That's the most perfect assessment of Game of Thrones I've ever heard. Because at first, when you started talking, I was thinking Succession, and that's true for Succession. A bunch of white people that have never had a good day in their lives, billions of dollars in the account.
Away. You know how I knew to stay away from Succession? Because it was on HBO and it basically filmed the same time slot that Game of Thrones used to have. I'm like, I know HBO. They came here to piss us off, and I won't take it. I'm not watching. No way. No way.
Last mood.
Okay.
And I want a really good one. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna make you give me a scene. Sexy.
Sexy. What's the last thing I thought was sexy?
And it's hard to me. I've said this a lot. Intimacy and sexiness is hard on scene. You can feel it. I can't feel like y'all just met on set 4 months ago. I have to feel it. What's sexy? Give me something sexy.
Show I've been watching, the crime TV show. I just looked it up. It's like a Blacklist type show where there's a super smart criminal and they're just manipulating everybody. It's like a puppet master. It is very formulaic, but I'm enjoying it so much. I roll up a little spliff, I hit it, and it's great. It's very like fun, mindless TV. Okay, what sexy? Have I watched anything that's sexy recently? I don't have. I kind of want to seek that out now. Oh, you know what? I'm lying. I've seen the Batman twice in theaters. I've seen the Batman twice in theaters.
Me too.
And their sex scene, they didn't have a sex scene. They had a cute couple kisses that I didn't really care about. But, and this is where I'm about to be a sicko. There's a scene where helps her to cover up her mouth, and I'm like, I'm turned on. I don't know if everybody else is turned on. Like, it was just because the cop was coming, he needs to keep her quiet. But I'm like, do the sex scene now. Like, stop this movie, do the sex scene, and I'll be excited. So yeah, they were really hot together, and I heard they were hooking up on set, but who knows if any of that shit is true.
Not you hearing that. Hold on now. Wait a minute now.
I heard it from some. It could have been anybody. You know what I mean? Like it was some internet shit.
I'm not gonna lie. I hope they did too. The chemistry is clear. You know, I mean, I don't know if they're just really good actors, but definitely.
I'm a
So
fan
okay.
individually, so hey, it doesn't take much for me to ship it. Let me tell you what. Like I ship it. Okay.
I mean, and who isn't gonna feel sexy around Zoe Kravitz? I mean, anything surrounding that is gonna be like a thing, right?
And I like that they have a Batman who is a little sexy. Like you know what I mean? Christian Bale. What a Christian Bale sex scene? I don't know. Like I feel like I would be more disturbed. Not that there's, he doesn't give sex to me. He's an attractive person, but he doesn't give sex. No.
It's that thin line between acknowledging someone's like, attractive or good looking and like, but I also can't imagine you having sex.
Honestly, attractive as far as like that sort of thing. I almost don't see it. Like living in New York, like you kind of have to throw it out the window who's hot. Like it's not a real indicator. It's something about you. So it just washes right over me. So yeah, Christian Bale, no thanks. I love his work, but pretty glad they didn't really give him much. All his love interests were very bloodless. Like they probably held hands in bed, and that's the way it should be because that's America. Like fuck that.
I'm trying to run this space and I'm over here dying laughing at these assessments. You said living in New York, and I feel like there's a whole nother story there. I wish we had another hour to speak.
A lot
we
of
have to
people here, like, and that's no shade to the Midwest or anything, but when I moved here, I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, where did all these people come from? Like, okay, I guess. Like, I was very like taken aback by it, but especially on a coast, it's a lot different being in entertainment on a coast than in a flyover state. And there's cute people everywhere, but they mean it out here. Like they got money on the line. Like they're in the gym every day. It's crazy.
I could not agree more. That is hilarious. I did not see this conversation going there, but I'm glad that we talked about that because you are 100% correct. Okay, so thank you so much, Becca. I'm going to let a couple people come up and speak. If you want to come up and speak, if you didn't agree with anything I said, that doesn't matter. You could talk to Becca about anything you disagree with her. That's going to be that. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, girls like to tussle. No.
I know you girls like to tussle. Right. But come on up and speak to her. We have a couple. Tap the mic in the bottom left. If you liked anything that she said, Becca said a lot of good stuff. And again, if you didn't like anything that she said, you could talk to her. If you didn't like anything I said, sorry, that's too bad. No. So I have Bruce up here. Bruce is a regular of What We Watch. Hi. Do you have any questions, comments for the beautiful, lovely, talented Becca?
Hi, Becca. First time hearing from you, of you. I'm finding new people in What We Watch like all the time, and once again, I've fallen in love with someone. So welcome.
We're like 4 for 4 at this point, right, Bruce? I love that.
Absolutely,
Love that. What We Watch, hell yeah.
Exactly. So I had a question about your nerddom and your love of fantasy and sci-fi because that's right in my wheelhouse. Are you familiar with Attack the Block?
Oh, I love Attack the Block. Yes.
Okay. So I feel like that's one of our crowning Black sci-fi jewels. And my question to you is, why is it that we can't seem to crack that genre? Like when we go for it, it's normally like campy, catchy. Like there was this one show with this one actress from Delaware. I forget what it's even called. It was on Sci-Fi Network, but she was like some sort of like not bounty hunter, but like something. And she was a princess and she didn't know it.
I did see that. Look,
okay.
Black Girl in Space. I'm gonna give it a couple episodes.
Exactly, but why is it like it's always that, and why can't we ever do like the serious, the good shit?
I didn't hate that. There are two shows that you're describing that it could be either one. I wish I could remember the name of either one, but there's one that you're describing where she's like a bounty hunter in space, and like a white guy she has this push and pull with. It's just the one I think you're talking about.
Right.
There's another one.
Killjoy.
find out.
Killjoy, yes.
Killjoy, yes. I liked that though. I don't hate the camp. Like I grew up on the sci-fi originals, like Middleman. Like if you're gonna camp it up, that's fine. Like I don't even hate like old superhero shit. Like I won't watch an Adam West Batman because I'm an adult and that's not what I do these days. But my niece still likes it. You know what I mean? It's cute. So I don't hate the camp. I really don't. I love comedy. I do comedy first, and it does blend with my love for science fiction. And if you follow me, which I hope you will, I joke about love. So I'm not mad at the camp, but there is another show with a black girl in space. Then they're on a prison transport ship. That's the most I can remember about.
Oh, that's a Canadian show.
What was it?
It's a Canadian show.
Are you talking about Vagrant Queen?
Was so good. Like if you're looking for something a little more atmospheric, and when I tell you they ain't got no jokes on that show, okay? Nobody.
Yeah, no, I know that one.
It was funny. The mama was funny, but that's because she was talking shit to everybody. She was cracking on people, but there are no jokes in that show. There's one character who gets a couple jokes off, but yeah, it's not that type of show. But it was wonderful. Like I've never really seen black women presented in space like that. They had real problems. Like they were ready to kill each other. It was not cute at all. But it was.
Great. One last thing I'd like to say is that I just know that our friend and hostess Mo is she's destined for stardom because she doesn't know what a Honda Pilot is. I just wanted to let everybody know that. Not a regular person. She does not know what a minivan is.
Oh my god!
Like take that in. She doesn't know what a minivan is. Okay.
Oh, like the
she's a star.
Y'all, that car had to come out this year. I've never heard of that car in my life.
I've never heard. Is it a Honda Pilot you don't know about, or like a minivan is a thing? Like
I don't know what a Honda Pilot is.
Sounds like something I wouldn't be concerned with, honestly. Like what? I don't have.
That's very true.
Like what is that? Yeah.
I tweeted
Honda Pilot.
I tweeted it because there was I'm part of Screenwriter Twitter, #Screenwriter Twitter now. Becca, you're officially Screenwriter Twitter as well. You're very, very powerful at this point. And they were like, somebody on Facebook was like, I sold my Pilot, and the writer was like, oh my god, that's amazing. That's it's a huge thing to sell a Pilot. And she was like, yeah, I just sold my Honda. Like, what are you talking about? And they're like, oh.
Not that. Okay. Well,
not. So I was like,
if this person was on Screenwriting Twitter and they said Pilot and they meant Honda Pilot?
No, they were on Facebook. And somebody said that they sold their Pilot. I just put the tweet up top.
And half your friends are in entertainment and half your friends don't even know the terminology of what people in entertainment careers, because we're in such different worlds with like my family friends and my friends back home and what my friends in entertainment tweet about. It's like we're in two different universes because Pilot means something so different to depend on who you're talking to. Like if you're in a space, we could be talking about Bessie Coleman. So, it is
exactly.
All relative. Language is relative, but yeah.
And I put the tweets up top. And let me just go back to something you said, because that's exactly what I learned going from engineering to writing. It's a new language. Like screenwriting is a new language. Again, it is not the same approach as writing a book or writing some articles for some magazines or, online like spaces. It's very fucking different. It is a whole new language. So
yeah, very much so.
Corlone and then Monk. Corlone, hi.
Hey, what's up? It's been a second.
Questions, comments, praise for Becca.
Who is this?
Hello? Corlone. We lost you, Corlone. Do you see him in the room? Am I? Can y'all hear me?
But I think that show that you were talking called Endgame.
Yeah.
It has Ryan Sterling, Sterling K. Brown's wife, and then Morena Baccarin.
I love her. She was Gotham, and she was great on that. So I saw her, and I was like, you know what? Like, crime boss, I'm in. Like, Black Lady Cop, her character is a little corny for me, but I got me.
Nah, but yeah. And then I think we were talking about the fantasy, the like kind of black people in fantasy. Seeing that new show, what was it called, Wheel of Time. Two of the lead characters on that show are black. The Wheel of Time. Two of the lead.
Okay, I watched that too. That was not what I was talking about, but I did watch that and it was great. It was shades of fantasy world. So Wheel of Time post I've watched at least 3 fantasy shows over quarantine that had a lot of black and brown characters, and it's great to see that. I love to see it, absolutely.
Yeah. The fact that we had 3 different shades, like, and then we had like black characters in that were like mystical characters like ogres and fairies and
Got some in Witcher too, like
Witcher too. Yeah.
we had the Marcella, or I don't remember her name, but she was plotting, the one who was plotting against or with the elves. And I found out the actress who plays the elf queen is white. I mean, it's black. She looks white, but she's like a Halsey type. I don't know what else to say. She's well, we love to see it.
Oh yeah, the elf,
Claim
the lead elf in that joint, the female elf
black
or
one.
whatever. She was black. I was like, oh snap, I did not realize that. They
Yeah,
played her
love
as
to see
white
it.
though. I hated that though.